Hey, it's State of State. We got your Nittany Line update. It's a football discussion with Tom and Justin, so kick back and press play.
With former Penn State and NFL defensive back Justin King, I'm Tom Hannafin. This is State of State. Please like, comment, subscribe, rate us, and turn on notifications. Follow us on social media at State of State Pod. Comment on our YouTube channel. And if you haven't done so already, you can become a member of our YouTube channel. For just 99 cents a month, you can get all upcoming episodes of State of State, plus our entire members-only playlist, ad-free, commercial-free. Hit the join button on our homepage or follow the link in the description of this podcast. The biggest betting weekend of the year is finally here, which means more updated odds and props for Super Sunday. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. BetOnline has hundreds of prop bets, MVP odds, and exclusive in-game live betting. BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline offers you everything and more to enhance your game day experience. Visit betonline.ag today and make the game day action count a little bit more. State of State is presented by BetOnline. The game starts here. State of State is a proud supporter of Blue White Outfitters. Blue White Outfitters was created as a retail shop meant to highlight the confidence, competitiveness, and fearlessness of the elite athletes found throughout the history of Penn State University. Check out their Lockdown U and Lawn Boys merchandise today. All sales from Blue White Outfitters directly benefit Penn State student athletes. Also, official State of State merchandise is available now. Support the show and grab State of State t-shirts, hoodies, hats, and more. Visit www.bluewhiteoutfitters.com today. Hi, everyone, and welcome to State of State. I'm Tom Hannafin. Following a breaking news story here on this Super Bowl Sunday, a variety of reports now on social media indicating that Penn State running backs coach Jawan Cider is expected to be heading to Notre Dame to take on the exact same role. Now, initially, Pete Thamel of ESPN put it out there that Notre Dame was targeting Jawan Cider. Then Pete Akos of On3 followed it up saying, quote, "The expectation is this deal will get done and Penn State will be looking for a new running backs coach per sources." Matt Zenitz from CBS Sports posted, quote, "Penn State's Jawan Cider is expected to accept the running backs job at Notre Dame." Cider, whom ESPN previously reported was being targeted by Notre Dame. So we're going to follow this situation, and obviously nothing appears to be set in stone, but the indicators are the indicators. This, if it does come to fruition, is certainly a major blow to Penn State's coaching staff, and I've spoken about it very recently in terms of the way that James Franklin has built his staff, and he has done an outstanding job putting together not only his staff of coordinators. I think those are the ones that always get the headlines, and we've spoken so much recently about Jim Knowles and Andy Kotelnicki, and give a lot of credit to Justin Lustig as a special teams coordinator, but it's the position coaches that really make a difference in the granular aspects of a team. And Jawan Cider has been a big part of Penn State's success for a number of years. Now, Jawan Cider joined the staff in 2018, and the rushing game has had names the likes of Miles Sanders, Journey Brown, who we have had on this show before, and our own Justin King, who has worked with Jawan Cider, worked with Journey Brown, worked with Miles Sanders, worked with Saquon Barkley, can speak to the ability of all of those people that I just mentioned, but especially the way that Miles Sanders really popped. Obviously had the opportunity after Saquon Barkley left, and even when Barkley was still in school. Jawan Cider was a big reason for that. What Journey Brown could have been had he not had to medically retire from football was impressive. Jawan Cider, a big reason for his opportunities that he had at the college level. Some other backs that would follow, and I know there's some people here that are watching us saying, Noah Kane, Devin Ford, Keziah Holmes, Kevon Lee, John Lovett. Did these guys ever really materialize into being game-changing running backs? They were still serious contributors for Penn State football and steady presence. Trey Potts as well. Now you have Cam Wallace and Quentin Martin, but especially the two-headed monster we're looking at right now at Penn State, Nick Singleton and Katron Allen. A big reason why they're at Penn State is because of Jawan Cider. And I look forward to having Justin King on here later on this week to really articulate the meaning of Jawan Cider to this football program. And granted, we're following this story again. Jawan Cider is expected to leave for Notre Dame. Nothing is set in stone. But first off, taking a look at Jawan Cider's history. His playing career was at West Virginia and Florida A&M. Grew up in the state of Florida. Had time as a GA at West Virginia 2008, 2009. Then went on to Marshall to become the running backs coach for 2 years. Was at West Virginia once again, and as a running backs coach for 3 years, 2013 to 2016. Was at Florida as the running back coach in 2017, and then came to Penn State in 2018. He got himself the running game coordinator tag in 2020, and ever since has been an assistant head coach, co-offensive coordinator, and running backs coach. So has continued to earn more opportunities within this Penn State coaching staff. And for those that might not remember, the Peach Bowl that wound down the 2023 season before Andy Kotelnicki had come to Penn State and Mike Yursich had been fired. You remember the back end of that season, you had cool offensive coordinators with Ty Howell and Jawan Cider trying to steady the ship there, doing whatever was asked of him. But just a really impressive run altogether for Jawan Cider if this is the end of his time at Penn State 2018 to 2025. The thing that I've always heard from Justin and from other people about Jawan Cider, just one, how good of a human being that he is, and two, how big of a difference he has made to improve Penn State's running back room, improve Penn State's running game. And that's been a collaborative effort. And I think that's the amazing thing about the way James Franklin puts together his coaching staffs, and especially his position coaches, is that he's looking for collaboration. He's looking for cohesion. And the running backs coach, as great as he can be, is nothing without the offensive line coach, and so on and so forth. So the successes that Phil Trautwein has seen with the improvement of the offensive line over the years has directly benefited Penn State's ability to run the football and have great tailbacks there. Sometimes you can have an immaculate offensive line and an okay running back and get things done. And sometimes you look at what Saquon Barkley was able to do. I think it's safe to say the offensive lines that he had in front of him were not the greatest that Penn State ever fielded. And you're coming off the years of sanctions. Saquon Barkley was otherworldly and could overcome literally anything at the college level, and has done so in the National Football League for that matter. But when it comes to Jawan Cider, he's done an outstanding job continuing to recruit talent. And that's going to be something, if this is indeed true, Penn State is going to miss long term. His ability to recruit has been exceptional, and especially looking at what Penn State has had now, this might be the greatest running back tandem Penn State has ever had, which is saying so much. Nick Singleton and Katron Allen have gotten better and better every single year that we've seen them in Happy Valley. A big reason for Penn State's playoff run this past year and the way that Penn State's offense evolved in 2024. The renewed focus on the running game, that was something, yes, Penn State had done that for such a long time, but to see how Jawan Cider was a big part of that and making sure that Penn State was committed to running the football. I do want to look back at Penn State's rushing records because I think what Penn State has been able to do over the years is just absolutely astonishing. Evan Royster at number 1, Saquon Barkley at number 2, Kurt Warner, Tony Hunt, Blair Thomas, Curtis Enos, DJ Dozier, Larry Johnson Jr., Lydell Mitchell, and then at 10 and 11, you have Nick Singleton and Katron Allen. Nick Singleton, 2,900 yards. Katron Allen, also roughly 2,900 yards. Reason could state that if both go over 1,000 yards rushing again this coming season, you'll have the first and second greatest rushing totals in the history of Penn State football. Now, think about those steps at the student bookstore and how those might have to get renewed. It's just been incredible to see their maturation, and you don't have that without Jawan Cider. Jawan Cider has been a steadying presence in that room and has continued to cultivate talent. I think there's a lot of people that are excited about Cam Wallace and Quentin Martin, and especially Corey Smith, like what we saw out of him last season. Tyke Hayes is somebody that people are excited about, incoming player in the class of 2025. Obviously was able to take transfers, the likes of Trey Potts, who I mentioned, and John Lovett. Potts had come from Minnesota. Lovett had come from Baylor and implemented them into the offense, was able to utilize them in ways that were positive for Penn State football. So we're going to have to keep an eye on this situation. This is a bummer, especially, over the weekend to hear about this type of news, if it is indeed true. And I think there's naturally a lot of people that are going to sit there and be like, man, you're leaving for the exact same job at a team we just lost to in the semifinal of the college football playoff. Of course, that stings. This, of course, would be a great opportunity for any coach to go work for Marcus Freeman, to work for that brand of Notre Dame, to have that opportunity. Not to say that it is a step up or a step down. It does feel lateral in a lot of ways, but you're going to a team that was just in the national championship and, yes, just beat Penn State to get to said national championship. If anything, I think there's a lot of things, Jawan Cider, if this does materialize, that he is going to be able to translate from Penn State to Notre Dame, that you saw the bevy of running backs that Notre Dame was able to use this past season. Jeremiah Love, Aeneas Williams, the list goes on. And also the emphasis on the running game, period. This is going to be a good fit if it does indeed happen. Jawan Cider at Notre Dame. Will Penn State miss him in the immediate? You got to see who is the next person that they are able to install in that position. And I have every faith in James Franklin as someone who has continued to staff his coaches so well that the next person in there will be more than well equipped for the job. And the candidates, it appears too early to really dive into that conversation. Again, all these reports out there, it began as Notre Dame is targeting Jawan Cider. Then it's expected they're going to hire him and a deal is expected to get done. So we're going to keep an eye on this situation. But this is bittersweet because you always want to see a positive opportunity for somebody, a positive opportunity for someone to grow, potentially a better situation for him and his family. Not to say that was a bad situation at Penn State, but we'll have to see what this materializes. And listen, there were instances where Jawan Cider in the past had been up for different jobs at different schools. And we've seen that with a variety of Penn State's coaches and coordinators over the years, is that James Franklin has to fight to keep these guys and wants to create an environment where you have a variety of lettermen on staff. Cider, obviously not a Penn State letterman, but you have a variety of Penn State lettermen on this existing staff. So keeping that tradition in mind, that could be something for the future to look at and potentially filling this role. But Jawan Cider staying with Penn State for as long as he did is almost unprecedented in this era of college football. 2018 to 2025 is a significant run, especially for a position coach. There is greater frequency for those coaches to bounce around, look for greener pastures, or even try to elevate to a coordinator spot, something like that. And you've seen how Cider within Penn State's program was able to take on more responsibilities, but stayed steady working with the running backs, helping to improve that room. So this is certainly a bummer after a lot of the coaching movement during the offseason and who Penn State was losing with Tom Allen, then bringing in with Jim Knowles. Greg Gattuso is a great addition as a defensive line consultant. All these other analysts that have joined the staff. Rob Smith leaving the staff, going off to Rutgers. So there's some movement that is expected. And this is the element that Justin and I talk about all the time on this show, is that great teams at the end of the year get poached. Great coaches are going to get poached. And there's so many people that made the joke about, well, when Ohio State lost their offensive coordinator and Chip Kelly to the Las Vegas Raiders in the National Football League, that Ohio State should just do what Penn State just did to the Buckeyes, and Penn State grabbing Jim Knowles, defensive coordinator from that national championship team. So a lot of people were joking, saying, oh man, Ohio State should go grab Andy Kotelnicki to fill their offensive coordinator role. They elevated from within. Wide receiver coach, outstanding wide receiver coach, Brian Hartline, is now the offensive coordinator for the Buckeyes. And this kind of feels a little bit similar in that Notre Dame potentially had, we'll have to see where this goes, Notre Dame looking at somebody that you just went up against and was like, well, dang, Penn State ran the football pretty darn well against us, against everybody else. We should go get their running backs coach. That's kind of the era we're living in college football, is that everybody is reachable, it sounds like. And again, we'll have to see if this actually materializes, but my sincere hope is the absolute best for Jawan Cider and his family. I hope this is the right decision for him. And if this is indeed true, it's going to leave a major void for Penn State to have to fill. But again, I have every faith in James Franklin and his ability to staff. He continually puts together a great group of coaches year in and year out. What will this mean for the 2025 season if Cider does indeed leave the program for Notre Dame? Time will tell. The fortunate part for Penn State fans is that you can take solace in the maturation of Nick Singleton and Katron Allen. Not to say that the work is done, the work is never done. But Nick Singleton and Katron Allen have learned so much from Jawan Cider, as have a bunch of different running backs that I just mentioned, notably Journey Brown and Miles Sanders, that people can point towards as real stars that Cider has been able to work with and grow their game, and been a reason why they came to Penn State in the first place. I think Singleton and Allen are in such a good place now that they're set up for success and are going to be able to produce at a high level again in 2025, not regardless of who is the running backs coach or the offensive coordinator, but they have taken a lot of things and they have certainly improved. So I'm curious to see where all this goes. This is bittersweet if it is indeed true. We're going to keep an eye on this situation, but as of now, the story out there is that Notre Dame is targeting and expected to hire Penn State's Jawan Cider as its running backs coach.
Thank you all so much for joining us. This episode and our entire library of shows is available now on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever else you get your podcasts. Please like, comment, subscribe, rate us, and turn on notifications. Follow us on social media at State of State Pod. Comment on our YouTube channel. And if you haven't done so already, you can become a member of our YouTube channel. For just 99 cents a month, you can get all upcoming episodes of State of State, plus our entire members-only playlist, ad-free, commercial-free. Hit the join button on our homepage or follow the link in the description of this podcast. State of State is presented by Bet Online and by Blue White Outfitters.